Nerd alert, dork face.
I am not a loser. I just have a bad haircut.
Kind of a major dork.
Oh, nerds.
If you're into science, tech, or unique hobbies, you're listening to the right show. On Get Nerdy With It, we interview nerds talking about their passions. This is Get Nerdy With It.
Hi, welcome to Get Nerdy With It. I'm your host, Jennifer Ruggiero, and this is episode 15, recorded on Monday, August 26th. And with us tonight, we have a special co-host, Miss Jody Rains from webmarcom.net. Hi, Jody.
Hey, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me to co-host with you.
I was so thrilled when you said that you would, because you're just awesome.
And vice versa. And I know you've got a tremendous guest on tonight, and I'm very excited to meet him as well.
We do. We have Dr. Crowe, actually Mr. Ryan Crowe, otherwise known as Dr. Crowe, a social media strategist. Welcome, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. Just to clarify, I'm not a real doctor, so I don't need any headhunters with PhDs coming after me, wondering about my pedigree here. So I'm doing great, and thanks for inviting me to be on the show.
I'm thrilled that you said yes. So I know you are one of the biggest social media guys around. You're when I was looking up your profile on Google+, you're one of the recommended users and the top 5 people to follow on Google+. So you have all these accolades, and I'm really looking forward to talking about this with you. Out of curiosity, on Google+, how did you get to be one of the recommended users? That's something that I'm sure we would all love to have done to us, but I don't think it's going to happen to me. So.
Hey, who knows? You just have to bring lots to the Google Plus community, I guess, is the kind of unspoken requisite attribute that you need to have. The way I did it, I got an invite early on from a friend of mine who works at Microsoft. So about a week after Google Plus was launched in beta, I got access. And so what happened is I got there, and at that point, it's mostly tech people. I mean, if not all tech people who worked at big companies who got early invites from their friends and connections, and they didn't really know what was going on. They were trying to figure out how to use the platform, and every once in a while, somebody would come up with a tip. Hey, I discovered this cool thing you can do, or here's a cool way I've been keeping my post organized, for example. Mm-hmm. I saw all this, and I was like, well, I kind of want all of these things in one place. I'm not going to build a website. It needs to happen quick, so maybe I'll just make a profile called Google Plus Tips, or G Plus Tips was the original profile, and collect all the tips, and everybody can come find them. So I did that for about 3 days. I did not sleep. I stayed up all night looking all over Google Plus. I got all the different tips I could. I organized them. I rewrote them if they weren't very well written. Kept them around, and I was just up. I mean, I was having a great time, but I was doing it under this profile called G Plus Tips. Now, you might remember the first big thing about Google Plus that caused a fairly big stir was it was on CNN and a bunch of the tech shows. You weren't allowed to have a non-personal profile, so you had to have a name, you had to have a headshot, and yeah, they wanted to make sure you were a real person, and it was a big rule at the very beginning. And I had, at that point, amassed, a few thousand followers, which at the time was big. One of the bigger profiles on Google+, and they shut me down first. Oh. Yeah, it was big. So they shut me down first, and so all of a sudden, there was no place to find these tips. And then other people who tried to copy me, or do the same thing, I wouldn't say copy, but they were also trying to help, got shut down, and that caused a big stir. And so then when I came back, I had to use my real name. They let me keep all my old posts and followers, and I kept helping. And by that point, I had a name, and I wasn't just a profile. And so I had kind of established myself early on as, one, somebody who helps other people. And the reason I said I helped other people is because I didn't want the attention. Mm-hmm. And then 2, now they had a name to associate with it. And 3, I was kind of pushing the boundaries before anybody else was really.
Yeah. So your G Plus Tips profile was pulled because they wanted the real names. There was the whole real name thing going on, and then they let you reopen that page or your profile under your real name, keeping all those existing posts basically and followers.
That's right. And
okay, great.
So then I waited a little bit. I think they were trying to figure out how the suggested user list was going to work. It wasn't implemented right away. That happened, I guess, in August or September. And then in October, I believe, they implemented the suggested user list, much like Twitter's. Mm-hmm. Now, the suggested user list initially had celebrities and, that's celebrities and bands because they still hadn't added company profiles, so there was no big brands or anything. And people got angry. They're like, these celebrities never use Google Plus. You're bringing people in here. So they started adding regular regular people. So people who had contributed a lot to the platform, to the culture of Google Plus is what they called it at the time. So they brought in regular users. Now I wasn't added immediately. And by this point I'd actually started up my own YouTube channel that was featuring content made by only Google Plus users. So there was 3 or 4 shows at one point. Neat. And I'd started as kind of a TV channel. I started my own website. I got a bunch of Google Plus power users. We got somebody to build it for us for free. We showcased a bunch of art, which is sociologyplus.com. Now it's kind of my personal blog because it's hard to keep a team together when you're not paying them. And they all found better stuff to do. And so they built the website for me.
At least you got the website out of it.
Yeah, now I got a website now. Yeah. It's true, and it's a really nice looking website. Anyway, so they finally added me, and then by that point I had gotten about 50,000 users on my own.
Wow.
And then when you're added to the suggested user list, they come in droves. I was on it for about 7 months. It goes in cycles, so I'm not on it right now. And so after the 50,000, then the rest came. I guess I got 330,000 after that.
Amazing.
So that's how I got that many followers.
Even getting 50,000 on your own is quite a feat. So that's incredible. I'm at about 13 right now, close to 14, I think. And and it takes a while to work that. So. And that's the thing, I think, getting in early on, providing the good tips that you did and the engagement and all the, the hours that you put into it. I remember being addicted to G Plus when it came out, and it monopolized my weekends, my night times. it was all G Plus. It was such a neat focus, and seeing tips like that online. And I don't know, Jody, were you on in the beginning too when it was in beta?
Yeah, a couple of my friends that I did A2SM with had gotten the initial invitations, and then they shared them with me, much kind of like, Ryan, what happened with you. But, the whole concept of Hangouts was somewhat groundbreaking, I think. When you could see each other and you had a room full of people and started meeting others. To me, that was probably the most brilliant part of Google+.
And still is. That's Google Plus's killer app. That's what differentiates it from most social. I mean, there's other stuff, but that's the killer app. But that's the mot du jour, I guess.
Is it your favorite? Is it your favorite, Ryan? Of all the do you have favorite go-to kind of social media channels?
Google Plus is definitely my favorite. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit biased. There's a lot for me there. It helped me get jobs. It helped me get job interviews. It helped me build my career. Honestly, I don't think I would. I mean, I guess I don't know, but it would be harder for my career to happen if I didn't have it. So it's clearly my favorite for that reason. And I think the content is better, better. There's different reasons to use every platform. I just think it's a killer package.
I agree. And in regards to the content, my whole thing, and you all know this, but it's tailored to what your interests are versus, something like Facebook is tailored to who you know, specifically because of where you went to school or, something like that, where you go to school or work. But Google Plus is all content driven of things that you're interested in, and those followers, or you follow them and vice versa, and it's just a brilliant interface in my opinion. So
agreed. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but which social networks do you recommend to your clients to use for marketing?
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends what they do. So there's a lot of factors to take into consideration when you're recommending things to a client. One, what's their budget? Can they afford to spend time on 5 different platforms? Is it right for them to be in 5 different platforms? No brand or company or however you want to describe it. Nobody needs to be on all the platforms, especially if you're kind of a smaller company. If you have reasons to be on that platform, that's great. If you need to be on Pinterest because you have a highly visual product that you can generate sales from by having a Pinterest lead to a landing page where you can turn that interest into leads to sales, then you need to be on Pinterest, and that's great. But do you need to be on Twitter because people can't really see your product? Are you really invested in sitting on Twitter and networking the right way? So it depends what they want to do. And again, it's their budget. Are they paying me to do it? Or are they going to have to do it themselves? If they're going to do it themselves, do they have time to do it themselves? Are they aware how they're going to measure the ROI of their time or money? So I always recommend Facebook. As much, it's not my favorite platform, and I like it. There's nothing wrong with it, but everybody, you're most likely going to find your audience, the majority of your audience on Facebook. 1/7 of the planet's on it right now.
Wow.
There's just no reason you shouldn't be using Facebook, in my opinion.
Do you really think that's 1/7 of the population, or do you think a lot of those population numbers are bots or fake profiles?
It's a good question. I don't know. But even if it's not 1/7 of the actual population of the planet, it's still heads and shoulders and upper torso more than any other social has. And for good reason. There's a reason, I think. But I think you should always be on Facebook.
Yeah, and it's so easy to create a Facebook page, and it's free. And, it's easy to post to it, and you get to see some metrics there as well, and it's affordable, and unless if you pay for the advertising, and I'm not sure what that runs, but I still think it's probably a pretty affordable platform, so yeah, I agree with that.
Question: Instagram or Vine or Glide?
What was the last one?
Glide.
Glide?
Glide, Glide. I think that was the one that got all the news lately about it spamming people. Is that right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I guess I would not choose Glide yet. Definitely not. There's just it's too many unknowns. It hasn't proven itself as a stable social network yet. Vine, I don't know. Vine, some people are doing very interesting things with Vine, and I think if you've got the creative talent to use Vine, probably a pretty powerful platform to use, but I don't think there's a lot of users on Vine yet. There's enough, to be interesting, I suppose. But whenever you hear about Vine, you're like, oh, look at this curiosity from Vine. It's never, look at this super amazing advertising on Vine. There's some articles that have that, I guess, but I can't think of really a mainstream advertising initiative on Vine.
No, I can't yet.
But most people would. It'll happen, I'm sure. It will most certainly happen. But Instagram is certainly big right now. Definitely mainstream. My client that I'm working on, right now has an Instagram account. People like it already. I just started it up. I've already got, I guess we just started it up 2 days ago. We've already got 50 followers. It's a fairly big company. And Instagram has implemented a 16 or 17 second video.
That's right.
Which is longer than Vine.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I haven't used it yet.
And you can post on Facebook through Instagram, which is cool.
Exactly, because Instagram is Facebook, right? Because they bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Hashtags. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten big into Vine either. I'll watch it from time to time, but only if somebody that I know says, "Hey, check out my Vine," and then I'll go there and look at it. And
even then, I won't go look.
No.
What about Path? Do you do anything with Path, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm on Path. I started to use it. The problem I had with Path is what a lot of people have a problem with Google Plus is I don't have a lot of friends using it. And I don't see, and I don't really see the time investment in to go find other people to follow right now is not proven interesting enough to me for me to continue using it right now. I have it on my phone. I'm ready to use it. I think it's a really beautiful looking app. I think the functionality is great. I just think it needs a user base to make that content more rich. Now, I haven't looked at it in a while, so let me put that out there.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's useful. Definitely great.
Are you using it, Jody?
Path? No, I started to primarily because Chris Voss was like raving about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got into this whole fiasco where I guess the kids were using accounts and they didn't have any kind of age restriction, and so they got in some kind of like a little bit of hot water with that. And I just find that it same thing as Ryan said. I don't have that many friends on there that are using it, and there's so many other places to be. It just, I don't know. It just seems like extraneous.
Yeah, I was using it a lot when it relaunched. I guess was about a year and a half ago. I guess it had been launched already, but it really became a little bit busier, maybe 2 years ago perhaps. And now, I log in maybe once every other day, if that, and I find myself having to make myself post. I do have about, I don't know, probably about 20 people on there that regularly use it, and yeah, but I think it's been dwindling. I don't even see Chris Voss posting on there as much as he used to. He used to post on there all the time, and I don't see that many posts from him anymore. He's still posting, but not as much.
What about Quora? Anybody using Quora?
I love Quora. I think Quora is here's my hidden gem on the internet for people who aren't using it. Quora. I think it's great. It's what LinkedIn groups should be. It's what Yahoo Answers wants to be desperately. I think Quora is the place to go for a lot of things. If you're looking for tips on how to start your content, how to create content or blogging, Quora. I will champion it until it goes away.
Okay,
so many experts on there.
Pinterest. Is it on the way up, on the way down? Has it reached its peak?
Pinterest?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing with Pinterest. I think if they make that functional enough for people to use, consumers, and they also make it easy for brands to use, I can see it sticking around for a while. But I think, I don't know how much money Pinterest makes right now. But I certainly think Pinterest is going to get bought. If they start to plateau, they're going to sell. I think that's what they should do. I don't know if they're plateauing yet, because right now they've made it. They're surviving because they've made some pretty savvy moves on the functionality, linking to your website so people can sell stuff directly from Pinterest, making it a sort of digital store, making it like a digital storefront right now is I think the best thing they could have done. They had somebody really savvy working with them to make sure they did that the right way. I think it goes up until they plateau, and then I think they sell. And Pinterest sticks around, but it's owned by one of the Googles or the Facebooks of the world.
Yeah, possibly so. That's a good way of looking at it. And my thing with Pinterest is I'm not certain. I don't know. Maybe you know what? It might be because I think that people should look at it the way I look at it, which is wrong. But it's not too appealing to me. But I think it's brilliant from a marketing standpoint for brands and people to be able to market their products in a visual way. But I don't know. As a consumer or an end user, I'm not driven to the website for anything. It's more of a chore for me to log in, and I guess I just don't really care about the content. So I'm wondering. I think maybe I'm not the typical user, though. I'm not certain. Are you guys using it?
Every now and then, when I'm really bored, I go in and I post pictures of puppies and kittens.
Aw. Now I might have to sign in just to look at your puppy and kitten board. I'll give you that.
That's pretty much it.
A Cats of G+ board.
And what is it?
Pinterest.
Oh, sorry.
Guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think Pinterest is great for content curation. And I think a lot of people use it, and they're still addicted to it. I have people who at my job I work at an advertising agency. Not everybody does social. I'm the only person who does social. But people at my job will sit on Pinterest, and get stuck in it for an hour.
Wow.
I think it's still pretty powerful. It's really, it's really hard, and you guys might feel this way too. As somebody who's invested in social media as we are, not just from a user standpoint, but as somebody who makes it part of their job, a professional, sometimes we are really critical of platforms that the public really digs. My least favorite platform is Twitter. I can't stand it. I use it every once in a while. I don't have that many things to do on there. Every once in a while, I'll follow like a bunch of funny people, and I'll read their tweets, and I guess it's funny. But you know what? Guess who really loves Twitter? Everybody else. So I have to, look at it
that way.
From that perspective.
Out of curiosity, were you loving Twitter back in 2007? I was loving it in 2007, I didn't start until 2007, 2008, when it was new. But then when it became as big as it is, I'm just not I do it, I tweet, but I'm not all into it the way I used to be, I think it lost a lot of its personability, I guess. It's more mainstream, more brands, I would think, now.
Yeah. A lot of businesses. I was never really into Twitter, so it's hard for me to say I fell out of love with it. I joined it fairly early, and then I didn't touch my account until I became a social media professional. There's some cool stuff. I think it's interesting when big names get on there because, like politicians, right? I start looking at it from a strategy perspective. What are they trying to do? It's interesting to me because I'm a social media strategist. So every time they tweet, that tweet has been looked over, especially like a politician. That tweet has been looked over in times, has been optimized for certain things, has had specific words and specific orders to make sure that it appeals to the right amounts of, their constituents, right? And working with a big brand, it's really interesting to see what they're trying to do. And then working with a big company, I'm working with a big company right now. That a tweet, is 140 characters. Probably about 100 characters of actual content because the rest is saved for retweet value and hashtag use. That a single tweet goes through a lot of eyes and for a lot of reasons. So now that I use it more.
I was just going to say, here's the thing. Twitter, I think, is incredibly powerful. And like you guys, I used it really when I first started with Twitter, Jennifer, like the way you described Google Plus, that was me with Twitter. It was like every day, like looking at people, following their profiles, weeding, culling, growing a network. And I was a fanatic about Twitter. And then it got to a point when Google Plus took off. It was kind of like I didn't have time for Twitter, but I found that I go back to it. And the reason is, and I'm curious if both of you agree with this, the reason I've gone back to it is because it seems that when things are breaking, when news is happening, that's the fastest way that it gets translated.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the reason why I keep it around for personal use.
But it also seems that when somebody uses it in a way that is controversial, that also makes its way around lightning fast. Like there were a couple situations, I know we can probably point to them. Was there recently, I'm trying to remember what it was, with the triple jumper who was withdrawn from the Olympics because he had made some kind of a tweet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep. And he was pulled. I can't remember. It was a tweet. I can't remember the specifics, but I remember the story. Yeah.
I think there was one recently here in New Jersey with the governor. Oh, what was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. And they withdrew it right away, but the damage was already done. Once somebody
once
tweets,
it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, and Ryan, since you're a strategist and you're working with different companies, what I think is happening, and I think this is part of the reason why I'm getting frustrated with Twitter, is that people who are celebrities who have a Twitter account are not tweeting their own tweets.
Yeah, the marketing.
Definitely not.
And
I don't think that's.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're kind of cutting out. What was that?
No, I was going to say, consequently, it's kind of like, are they tweeting their own tweets, or is it somebody tweeting on their behalf? And if it's somebody tweeting on their behalf, doesn't that undermine the value of what Twitter was supposed to be?
It certainly does. However, so yes, in spirit, yes, it does. But perception is reality, right? So as long as nobody finds out that Lady Gaga has a team of 7 people, which she definitely does, working on her Twitter account, then it still maintains that value. So I don't know if a celebrity is not tweeting their own stuff, but their surrogate tweeter is good enough to fake it, and nobody knows. Again, that perception is reality. But in spirit, it most certainly does take away the value of Twitter for certain brands, certain entities using it.
Now, one thing that I do enjoy about Twitter is the fact that I can communicate with brands, not necessarily celebrities, but let's say if I'm having an issue with my cable and I tweet Time Warner Cable, they are on top of it, and within just a few seconds, I receive a tweet back from them, and then I'm DMing them and getting my issue resolved. Or if I check in via Foursquare and I cross-post to Twitter saying that I'm at such and such restaurant, hey, I'm enjoying yada yada at whatever place, then sometimes I'll get a tweet from them saying, hey, while you're there, enjoy a dessert on us, and telling me to go tell the person that, about a coupon code. So things like that. I like that interaction when those companies are on top of it and they're seeing when people tag them or comment about them, and then they interact with the customer base. I think that's really strong. It makes me feel very important as a customer. So I do like it when companies do that. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that indicates a strong social media strategy and understanding what the platform is there for.
Speaking about Twitter, what about Twitter's competition that's not fully mainstream yet since it's still in beta, but app.net? Any thoughts on app.net?
Actually, I was just introduced to app.net the other day. I don't know if it's the competition. It doesn't do the exact same thing, right? It's more of
It's very. It's longer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's longer, isn't it?
Yeah.
They use two.
You can post longer posts. I can't remember what the cap is on it, but you can post longer posts, and similar to Twitter.
I thought it was more of like a curation service.
App.net? It's pretty much, when I'm in my account, it's very similar to the same thing that I see in my tweets and my Twitter feed. But then again, I follow all the same people that I follow in Twitter, and they're probably cross-posting, and that might be why. But, here's Chris Pirillo, for example. So if I click on Chris Pirillo's thing here, I'm sure that if I go to his G+ or a Twitter page, it's going to show exactly the same thing, or on Facebook. But it's very, very similar. I'm just looking at everything in my feed right now, and it's it looks a lot like my Twitter feed. But yeah, I don't know if that platform is going to go anywhere. I think it's definitely more tech related at this point. I think all the tech gurus and techies have gotten early, and some people are still being invited to it. So I guess it's maybe to be determined with this.
I thought app.net and go ahead.
I was going
I thought
app.net.
One at a time.
All right, go for it. Ask me a question.
No, you were going to talk about app.net, and my question was totally on a different subject, so go.
Okay. I thought app.net, and I guess I had looked at it a little bit ago. I thought it was just a bunch of apps. I didn't know that the microblogging aspect of it was the major element of it. So I guess I don't really know that much about it, and I was going to ask what you thought was useful about it, and what makes it what differentiates it from Twitter that people would go to use it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The only thing that I think that differentiates it is perhaps the fact that there isn't as much control the way Twitter has. So it's more open. You can do more with it. I don't think that, I think when this really became big or made the news, when Twitter started limiting its user base or its API. What was it doing? It didn't limit its amount of end users that certain apps could use with it? Is that how it worked? Its number of licenses, I think?
I really don't
Twitter?
know that much.
Yeah, Twitter. Because Twitter changed its API to make it so that only for any new clients that were to be used with Twitter, they were only able to have, I forgot, a certain number of end users, and they had started limiting it at that. And when that happened, app.net became even bigger and more popular. And so, but as far as content wise, I don't really see anything different in regards to content as to why it would be a big competitor with Twitter. I think if Twitter becomes more closed, then this might have a go at making a real run-in against Twitter, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to look at it, but it seems like it's one of those. I have I have my own term for these. I'm sure that there's some real term for it, but ready to be bought is social networks that building up a specific niche so that they will be bought up because a major social network sees the use in it. Mm-hmm. I think app.net looks like one of those. Okay, so we're making all these applications. Anybody can make applications. They're super cool. Twitter's going to need something killer soon to stay alive. Twitter has the money. Twitter will buy app.net. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be Twitter.
Good point.
But that's what it looks like.
Yeah, good point. So what are your thoughts on LinkedIn as far as marketing goes? I know for me, I use it more to market myself as for my own professionalism, but for companies, do you recommend them to get a presence on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. I think if you Facebook and LinkedIn would be the two things I would recommend to every client, because I think in order to be taken seriously, you need to be able to be found, because a lot of people check for credibility and authority for a company online. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it's kind of weird. I think most businesses have one now. Definitely useful for an individual, absolutely. I get speaking gigs that way. It's good for a personal resume if I ever need it for something, right? Mm-hmm. I think that LinkedIn groups used to be something that they used to be useful. I think there still are some that are, but you have to have a really dedicated team of moderators, and I think they've lost kind of control of that. People are just too spammy there now. Because people were saying, LinkedIn is the place you go for business. So people are like, okay, well, if that's where I go for business, I'm going to go there and talk about all the stuff I do. But what they forgot is that it's also a social network.
Yeah, but you can control that by disassociating with people. And my feeling is if someone asks to associate with me or be linked to me, and I link with them, and the next thing I know, I'm getting solicitations, then I will politely write back and say, look, that's not the reason why I accepted your request. And if they don't get it, then why do you want to be affiliated with somebody like that? So I unaffiliate. So. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Personally, of course, but in groups, I think that's what linked. A lot of people used to suggest a social media strategy, right? One of the go-to suggestions was go get a LinkedIn group, go join a LinkedIn group, network that way, start your own LinkedIn group, invite people, become a trusted authority because you have a group. I think that is no longer as useful as it used to be because these groups on LinkedIn are inundated with people spamming, and you don't have to be personally affiliated with them in a group.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that is the case because everyone wants to market themselves and market what they're selling and try to promote themselves that way. And if they're abusing the groups for that, then that could give it a sour taste.
Yeah. But it's up to the moderator to close that down.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to find a good moderator. That's the trouble.
Someone who's not afraid to be unpopular.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And someone who's going to be active with it. Yeah. Speaking about groups, how about Facebook? Not Facebook. Google Plus communities. I noticed that you have started a few communities of your own. You're the founder of some, and you're a mod at some others. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so community started pretty early, and there was this initial rush for communities to find like the best name. So everybody wanted social media, the community, because it would have been like the original. And then everybody found out there could be communities with the same name, so that became less of a good deal. And then people just wanted to join a bunch, But I felt the need, to have what LinkedIn groups did not provide me is a chance to have an extremely active user base, because I knew who was active, with control, so because I was the moderator, specific topics, so I named it social. My group that I founded that I spend most of my time in is called Social Media Professionals, and it's also an invite, or not invite only, but you have to request to get in, and then I have to accept you, or one of my moderators does. So I started Social Media Professionals, and instead of just having people show up and do nothing, which was happening in a lot of groups, I tried to make it an organization, an organized thing. I made a concentrated effort to make that community good. So I laid down a pretty strict set of rules, which I think is necessary, and I know some people don't like that, but I'm okay with that. They don't have to join the group. And I said, here are things that you can do, here are things you can't do. Abject self-promotion is something that is not tolerated whatsoever. And I think that once people realized that, they started to come and actually start talking to each other.
Great.
Asking each other questions about our profession, talking about news coming up, pointing to other people's content, which is, I think, useful, right? I don't really let anybody talk about their own stuff unless they've done an extraordinary amount of promoting other people's stuff. And since I'm very active, I kind of know who's active and doing what. And if I can't be there, I limit it at 5 moderators at a time, so we don't have too many. And they're all people I trust and have proven themselves to be excellent group members, conversation starters, and engagers.
Great.
So
Wow.
I tell them my guidelines for modding, and I used to provide feedback because you can have statistics there, and so I say, okay, well, guys, we have this amount of our posts are being shared. I think that's really great, but it's down from last month. What's going wrong? And then we all tried to figure out a problem together. And after that came pretty time consuming. I stopped, but the relationship, the behavior tone I set has been sustained.
That's
So
wonderful.
it's still around. So people,
Wow, so you figured out the formula for groups, for Facebook community. I mean, Google Plus communities. That's great. You got the formula down pat.
I think having somebody there who cares, can see and look at, for somebody to set the tone, is what I think. It's simple because you're there because you like the group anyway. I mean, you started it, and sticking to your guns. Again, not being afraid to be unpopular. I ban people all the time, and they send me very angry messages. But I point to the community policy that I have displayed prominently in the group info, and I say, hey, I'm willing to give you another chance, but you can't be doing that kind of stuff. So
That's wonderful. I joined it earlier today, and I noticed a lot of engagement already. Just in the one day, I saw a lot of new posts, coming through, and content, excellent content, helpful content, not just junk, So I'm really impressed with it. And Jody, I sent you a link to it as well.
I saw it, yes, it looks very interesting. I will join if I'm allowed in.
of course you are. Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, what is the Little Big Squad?
Little Big Fund?
Is that what it's called? Little Big Fund?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it?
Little Big Fund. So there's another guy I met on Google Plus a couple years ago. His name's Carter, and Carter is just this really. He also works in digital marketing, and he met a lot of great people on Google Plus, and started meeting a lot of tech. He lives in San Francisco, so he's in the tech hotspot of the world, at least in America, and he wanted to start his own charitable NPO. So he got a bunch of his friends from Google Plus, people he met on Google Plus, and I was one of them. And he asked us, hey, I've seen you guys. We've been talking for a couple of years now. I trust your judgment. You all know a lot about tech. You know a lot about startups. You know a lot about helping people. And he asked us, will you be on my board of directors for the Little Big Fund? It's this non-for-profit I'm starting. And the goal is to have a theme every month. So this is the goal. This is what Little Big Fund is what I'm about to get into here. We're going to have a theme every month. And so let's say the first theme was LGBTQ charities. Mm-hmm. And charities can apply to be featured on Little Big Fund. And the board picks the top 3 or the 3 that are going to be that we want to help based on what kind of materials they submit. So they submit a story and how we can help and what they're trying to do and why they need funding. And we all look at that stuff and we vote on which 3 we want to support that month. And then we allow those 3 charities to tell their stories, and we promote those stories on our social media platforms. And we allow the users, there are people you can subscribe to donate every month, or you can vote once a month. And we allow the users to vote which charity gets the pot. We collect donations from everybody. So it's interesting in the sense that it's called Little Big Fund because some people don't want to give to charity because they're worried they don't have enough, or some charities won't take under $10 a gift or whatever. So the Little Big Fund takes all amounts of money. So if you want to donate 50 cents or $1.50, and that's all you can afford every month, but you still want to do good, we collect all of that and make it into one giant donation, and we give it to the charity that the users vote for. So the users vote for which charity they like the best and has the best story or whatever their own personal qualifications are. And then we make one large donation to that charity. And not only do we make that donation, but we also monitor where that money is going so it's used in the right way, which is part of the vetting process to begin with. So that's what it is. And I sit on the board of directors.
This is so cool. This is... I love it. Like, I'm on so everyone needs to go to littlebigfund.org, and this is really beautiful. So I would need to donate, let's say $10 or more, whatever, but, and then at that point I'd be able to vote on which of the nonprofits I want that to go towards, and the one with the largest votes gets the money. And that happens each month?
Every month, yeah.
Okay.
So there's a couple things that happen. One, it's any kind of money you want. I mean, that's the thing is 50 cents will go to a bigger fund. We just want people to feel like they're doing good, and we want people to be able to donate even if they don't make a lot of money themselves. Mm-hmm. So it could be 50 cents, and we'll put it with the rest of the money, and it'll be a big donation. 2, if you subscribe, you donate the same amount of money every month, and you will, no matter what, your money's going towards something, even if it's not the one you voted for. I mean, that's the thing, is it's supposed to be kind of a step towards true altruism. Mm-hmm. You want to help people who are in need, so you're going to be helping people who are in need no matter what, even if you didn't vote for them.
This is wonderful.
So that's how that works.
And
everything on that site... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Everything on that site, everything on a Little Big Fund is, well, I guess Carter, we need some money for infrastructure, so to pay for whatever tech costs we need, and to build the website. I think I guess I don't really know how that is working right now because Carter deals with that. All of it is done by people who Carter met on Google Plus.
Neat, very neat. I gotta also say that the website is beautiful, by the way.
It's gorgeous.
It is. It's just, I don't want to navigate away. It's really nice. I'm looking at all the board members there. Yeah, there you are. So I recognize a few of these names. Yeah. Jody, I think we should donate something.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
I'm wondering whether you could accept the currencies from like Facebook. When people are investing or whatever in the games, and then they have extra credits left over. I mean, can something like that be turned into currency?
I think if it has any kind of real world value, it should be able to. I don't know. That's a really good question.
Well, did
I don't deal with the.
Yeah, I think they started everybody out with like X amount of whatever it was, and a lot of people don't play the game, so that would just go to waste. It's a shame that there's not a way that we could figure out if there. And maybe you already have it figured out, or somebody on your team does, but all of those funds just that people aren't using because they won't play the games, to just have them go to you. Well, not you personally, but
Yeah.
the fund.
Little big fund. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely bring that to Carter. I hope he listens to this.
Carter, if you're listening,
He doesn't. Carter, if you're listening, have somebody write that down.
right? Very cool.
I don't know who handles I think Carter handles the finances. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think, especially, when people have like 50 cents left over from any kind of online credit, like you were saying, why not be able to donate it? I think it should be the easiest possible to donate it. And again, every little bit counts. It really does.
Those would certainly add up.
Yeah, no, that would really be a good. That is an excellent idea. Just to even launch something like that, going forward, to have some remaining change left and have it integrated with these different sites or financial platforms where you can just quickly hit the donate button and then donate to littlebigfund.org or whatever the nonprofit is or the charity is. I think that's really a cool idea, Jody. You should, start that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. So you mentioned that you are a speaker at certain events. Do you have any upcoming press events or conventions that you're speaking at?
I have one coming up in November. It's called the Let's Get Social event. It's happening in Toronto.
Ooh, nice.
Or maybe it's Montreal. It's somewhere in Canada. I have to relook.
Somewhere up there.
It's up there in that vast land. Wow, I should know that. It's in Quebec. It's Let's Get Social. It's about Google Plus marketing specifically. So a lot of power users from Google Plus are going to be speaking there. Some really great names, some really genius people. It's gonna be really awesome. I'm pretty excited.
That's huge.
That's my biggest one. Yeah, it's big. It's my first big speaking engagement. I've done a lot of online stuff. I did a MediaBistro.com social media bootcamp plus.
Cool.
And then various panels,
Oh, that's great.
Well,
That's
excellent.
great.
We're going to be rooting for you, Ryan.
I need it.
You'll do wonderfully. You will. You will. They wouldn't invite you there if you weren't, ready for the job. So
Hopefully I don't disappoint.
I'm sure you won't. I know you won't. Well, gosh, we've been kind of like just interrogating you, haven't we?
It's all right.
Any social media best practices that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, it depends on what you do. I think right now the big trend right now is to talk about content creation. And this is useful not only for social media in general. I think social media is kind of a misnomer, and I'll discuss why in a second. But also for your SEO practices. People need to be worried about how their content is affecting their SEO, because Google is making it so good content is rewarded as opposed to excellent SEO keyword placement strategies, or etc. And social media is quickly becoming more than just sites dedicated to talking. I think people have realized that by now. It's just the new way we communicate. Social media is going to be SEO, and SEO is social media, and that's something we have to worry about. So content creation, my advice for everybody is to look at the content that you want to be creating and read. I think reading, and this is the same advice I would give. So I used to teach Russian civilization at the University of Missouri, and I taught a writing intensive course. So I would say the same advice applied to social media, applied to digital marketing in general. Look at what you want to create. Look at the stuff you want to create. Read, and always create content. Even if you're never going to use that content, you should keep practicing. If you want to make a list and you want to be a trusted authority on X topic, then make a top 5 list of things you like about X topic. Even if you're never going to post that list, even if it's shoddy writing, just getting ideas down all the time, always creating is always good. Always create. And remember, and I think a lot of people are missing out on this now, social media marketing and digital marketing is quickly turning into an automated process for a lot of people. Remember that it's hard work, and it should be hard work to be on a social network and have a successful presence on a social network. Talk to people, reach out to them, be proactive and not reactive, strive to create relationships, and that will give you a stronger presence than just going out there and existing and shooting words out every once in a while. Remember, it's supposed to be hard work. Stop trying to find shortcuts. Those are best practices for me, and I think that's a helpful couple of things that everybody can use, from Coca-Cola to mom and pop's corner store in Decatur, Illinois. It's useful for everybody.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, isn't it? That's yeah. Fabulous, wonderful tips, and you hit the nail on the head. And that's something that I personally need to do more. And it is hard work. There are no easy, quick shortcuts. And if so, then you're not going to get real results, right? So, wonderful. Well, thank you. Well, Jody, do you have any other questions for Ryan?
No, but I'm sure I will catch up with you, Ryan, on Google Plus and some of the other social networks. And great information. Really, you're very knowledgeable, and it was a pleasure to learn more about your philosophy and what you do.
Well, thank you for asking me. And I'm known for talking a lot, so I'm sorry we stepped on each other's feet a lot. So hopefully you can edit some of that out so I don't seem like I'm bulldozing my way through conversation.
My editing skills are not that great, so
I've been outed. On live podcasts.
Well, Ryan, can you tell everyone where we can find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Google Plus. Just search Ryan Crowe. I've kind of the same profile picture. I'm a floating black and white head. It's a 3-year-old picture. I think it looks really great.
I love your cover photo for Google Plus, by the way. Jody and I were speaking about that earlier today.
Oh, yeah. I was one of, there's a pat on the back coming up for myself. I was one of the first people to make that kind of personalized moving cover photo for both of the sizes. There was originally a smaller one.
It scared me.
It's cool.
It scared you? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I thought you were looking at me. I'm like, oh my God.
It's moving.
Yeah. When it first happened, it scared a lot of people. My original one was actually a really subtle eye movement.
Neat.
And so people were like, oh my gosh, that's happening.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Everyone needs to even just go there, even just to look at that cover photo. It's so cool. So.
Thank you. So that Google Plus is obviously where you can find me. And then on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/n/Dr. Crowe, DrCrowe.
Okay. And I will list links to your profiles in the show notes as well. And Jody, where can we find you online?
Oh my gosh. Well, you can find me on Twitter as Sunswept, SUNSWEPT. Everywhere else, I'm either Jody Rains, JODYRAINES, or you can find me at my website, which is webmarcom.net.
Excellent. Thank you. And for us, you can find us at getnerdywithit.com. Follow us on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and Spreaker. And we are on Google+, Facebook.com/getnerdywithit, and on Twitter as well, getnerdy_withit. Thank you both so much for joining us. Ryan, you are awesome. Jody, you're incredible as always. So I cannot thank you both enough.
And you are too, Jen.
Thank you. Have a good night,
great.
you all. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Get Nerdy With It. Join us each week as we interview nerds talking about their passions.
Oh, nerds.
And be sure to visit us at getnerdywithit.com.